Hello Leo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my March 2020 horoscope report for you. In this video we're going to talk about the general climate of the month, the things that are going on in the stars, and how that's likely to affect Leo placements. We'll also talk about important dates to note, so have your calendar ready so that you can take these down because, well, I'll tell you why when we get up to that part. And we're going to talk about Saturn moving into Aquarius and what this means for Leos. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the general climate of the month. This month there is a lot of harmony in the sky. There are a lot of connections between earth and water signs that are harmonious and blend well with each other. Problem is, those beautiful aspects, oh, and by the way, there are more beautiful aspects than salty ones this month, and whenever that happens, it does set a tone for the month in general. The problem with all that harmony going on upstairs is that those placements don't particularly blend well with your placement, okay? But take heart because you do have some little juiciness still at the beginning of March while Venus finishes its movement through Aries, and that is sweet for you. And then when the sun gets into Aries on March 21st, which is also the Astrological New Year, which is one of those dates I want you to put in your calendar, then the movement of the energy into Aries, and that, you know, that's going to be a theme, that's going to be more of that. That is really amazing for you all, okay? So sit tight because even though there's going to be a couple of things to get through this month, there are some sweet spots, and April is going to be amazing for you all, okay? Which we'll get to that in April. And starting at the end of March, you'll start to get the, you know, everything going better for you in general. Okay, so what does this mean? When we've got planets moving through Earth signs, those Earth signs, well, in Taurus, that's making a 90-degree angle with your placement. Okay, so Venus is getting into Taurus, and that's creating a pressure point. Venus rules love, beauty, and money. Then we've got Mars moving through Capricorn, and that creates what's called a quincunx angle, which is a 150-degree angle, and that is also an angle of awkwardness and pressure. And it's just like, I always describe that quincunx angle as like two ships just passing in the night, like, you know, you just don't have any lines of connection, but at the same time, there's some kind of awkwardness from like being close to each other with the passing. You know, it's just awkward. So expect a little bit of that this month. There's going to be some confusion still for Mercury retrograde in a water sign, bringing emotion. Some of those emotions might be welcome, okay? So, you know, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying that this is going to be a bad month for Leos. That's not true. And I do sometimes hear somebody post about something, making a conclusion like that I'm definitely not making, okay? So I want to be clear. You've got some things to work through this month, but in my mind, as an optimist, as a self-development, you know, zealot, those angles that are a little bit more challenging are sometimes exactly what we need to break out of something that's holding us back. And that's how I like to use them. I like to expect that, okay, when that conflict comes up, it's making you aware of something that's not congruent within yourself or that's not matching within yourself for what you're trying to create, shows you where the problems are, and often it will show you where the solutions are as well. So, with how you use your energy, with love, beauty, money, self-esteem, those are some of the points of conflict. So you might have to, you might have some bumps there. And with the awkwardness with like how you're going to use your energy, some of that can be coming from the fact that this retrograde energy is making you uncertain and that opportunities are coming, but you don't know what to do with them. If you have to do anything important with information that comes to you or anything important in general, mark these dates down. March 30th through April 9th is our only remaining window in all of 2020 that is completely free of personal planet retrogrades and their shadow periods. And this is really important because a personal planet is the ones closest to us. So the ones that go retrograde are Mercury, Venus, and Mars. All of those planets will be going retrograde in 2020. That's why it's a retrograde, inward, backward focus type of a year. Doesn't mean you can't get a lot of stuff done. Doesn't mean a lot of stuff won't gel. I always describe this time as like a time to have woven your web and then just let the food come to you. It can be very relaxing. It can be full of, wonderful things coming to you. But the way the energy is moving this month is different than how Leo usually acts. Leo is fiery, it's passionate, it's action-oriented. And there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of second guessing, there's a lot of uncertainty where you can't apply that energy as directly and as clearly as you would like to, not at least until the end of the month, okay? So March 30th through April 9th, see, March 9th, Mercury goes direct. It takes from March 9th until March 30th for Mercury to get over its hangover. Okay, the way I describe this is like, let's say you're going full speed, like Mercury was going full speed, then it has to slow down to like make a U-turn. Okay, so like when you have to slow down to make a U-turn, it's kind of annoying, right? Is it not annoying to make a U-turn where you're like, you're like, yay, I'm going, and then you're like, oh man, I missed the turn. Got to slow down, got to get into the left lane, or depending on where you are in the world, in our country it's the left lane, you got to, turn around, you have to wait for the traffic passing by, then you have to, go back up to speed, and you're going slowly, and you're kind of making your way back up to speed. So that whole process is like what this retrograde energy is like. So the part where it's before the retrograde, which was February, that was like the slowing down to make the U-turn. Now the part that dominates most of March is now you have to get back up to speed. Okay, so just to kind of understand that. So from March 9th to March 30th, you're like rounding the turn and you're getting back up to speed. So it might take until later in the month for all of that to happen and things to start moving forward again. But don't worry about it. That's why I like to talk about this stuff ahead of time, because if you know that this is coming, then you just don't force anything and just be with the emotions that come up from the water planets. Be with the uncertainty, be with the things coming back from the past, be with, the energies that are different than your usual way of being. Just be with them and know that this too shall pass. It's going to change. As you move towards the end of the month, you're going to be able to get your zest and then some. Like I said, April is like a woo power month for you all. But you can make the most of April by taking some steps back in March to review everything, to get your plan together, to get, to strategize, to get ideas, to rest. This is another thing I like this month for, and retrogrades for, is to rest and do some internal work, deal with things closer to you so that you can do your big busts out, your big, wonderful, bursting, zesty, outward moving things from March 30th through April 9th. April 9th starts the pre-shadow transit for Venus retrograde. We'll be talking a lot more about that as that comes, and you can get a leg up on it by searching for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde and seeing my massive amount of Venus retrograde resources so that you can prepare for this and know what things to do ahead of time, know what things are not best to do during the transit, and you can make your plans accordingly. Okay, so that's all. Okay, I want to talk about that. Another couple of dates I wanted to mention. March 21st is the start of the astrological new year. This is in general very auspicious for everybody. It's this, cardinal sign. It's this change of energy. It's this, planting of seeds. And it's specifically great for fire signs. So you'll really start to feel this. You'll get your zest back. You'll get your clarity back and all of that. March 24th is a new moon in Aries, and this is the kickoff party for the astrological new year. So clean slate, new chapters. For those of you who are into vision boards or into conscious co-creation, a vision board is something you can either do virtually online where you pick pictures of things that have the essence of what you want to create, or in some cases are the exact thing you want to create. Excuse me. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way and cut out magazine pictures of maybe something specific you want. Maybe you want to have a certain car, or maybe you want to have an essence of something in your life, like more love, more abundance, more travel, more relaxation. Then you can clip these out, put them on the board. Well, that date, March 24th, at the new moon time, and since you're all in drastically different time zones, look up to see exactly when the new moon is and where that is in your time zone. Sometimes it's the day before or after the day I talk about. But the closer you get to the actual new moon time, the more powerful that seed planting energy is. And so the new moon in Aries, the astrological new year new moon, is one of the most powerful astrological power periods. Astrological power periods are times when the universe is more receptive to your desires, your intentions, and your wishes. So you want to really use this because it's exciting. So in general, a new moon in a fire sign is just really great for you guys. So like I said, this is another thing that's happening at the end of the month where you're starting to get your groove back. This is great for all of you, but especially those of you who are the July born Leos, or 0 to 9 degrees if you're watching for your sun, moon, or rising. And the closer you are to 4 degrees, the more powerful, because the new moon is at 4 degrees of Aries. So 5 degrees in either direction is the most powerful connection, and the closer you get to the actual degree is, the most powerful for you. So just know you get a little extra zest there, those of you at the beginning of the sign, but it's good for all of you. Okay, so you've got the dates to know. We talked about the general climate of the month. The last thing I want to talk about is Saturn moving into Aquarius and what this means for you. Okay, so Saturn moving into Aquarius, first of all, is moving into a sign that is more conducive to a natural flow with you. And air energy moves much better with fire than the earth energy that it's just been going through for years when Saturn moved through Capricorn. So that's a plus, that's a bonus, we love it. Something in general to note, however, is that because this particular air sign, Aquarius, opposes your sign, it's the one opposite your sign. That means that over the time of March 2020 through March 2023, you're going to be having Saturn oppose your Leo placement or placements, depending on how many placements. And I do always recommend that you do a search for a free birth chart online and look to see exactly how many Leo placements you have and figure out your degree. If you get a free birth chart, you'll see next to your sun, it'll say a certain number. That's your degree. Then you can use the information I give you more, and that will enhance your use of astrology. Also, you might have more than one Leo placement. And if you do, then all of the things we talk about that are affecting Leo placements are going to be multiplied for you. Like I have 9 placements in Sagittarius. So when anything makes a bad angle to Sag, I'm like getting just power slammed. And when anything that was ever making a nice aspect to Sag, I'm just like in my full glory and so happy, and it's great. So the more placements you have, the more you're going to be affected for better or worse, and it's good to know that. Okay, so Aquarius opposes your sign. So in this period of time, you're going to have an opposition to your placement. Oppositions from Saturn are not always fun. Okay, you have to be honest about that. It's pulling against you in some way, but because we live in a benevolent universe, I believe, anything that seems to be difficult or working against you is ultimately working for your good, especially if you get the message, you get the lesson, and you proceed on with those insights and that information, and you make the appropriate changes. But it will sap your vitality. It will, pull at and push at whatever your placement is. And so it is important to know that, because you will be feeling it. It may need some extra work from you, extra discipline, extra hard work when that actual opposition takes place. Now, only those of you who are right at the very beginning of the sign, now I'm talking about the first few degrees or the first few days of the sign, you are the only ones that are actually going to get really affected in 2020, because Saturn moving into Aquarius, there's a big hullabaloo about it, but it's only going to get up to 1 degree of Aquarius. Then it's going to go retrograde back into Capricorn for the predominance of the year. So between March and June, it moves from 0 to 1 degree of Aquarius. There's 30 degrees in each sign. Okay, so we've got this 360 degree running track through the sky. 360 degrees divided by the 12 zodiac signs, 360 divided by 12 is 30. That's the 30 degrees in each sign. So the planets move 0 degree of one sign, 1 degree, 2 degrees, okay? So it's like lurking in a particular part of the zodiac, and that's what's happening, at any given time. So it's only going to get up to 1 degree. So those of you at the beginning are going to feel it. You are going to feel it. You all in the first couple of days, you all in the first, couple of degrees, you're going to feel it. But do please hear me say that even though I'm saying you're going to feel it, there's going to be heaviness, there might be extra work, there might be, difficulties. It can also bring about the positive end of Saturn, which is accomplishment, fruition, recognition, hard work realized in wonderful ways, long-term stability, long-term gains. So every planet, every placement, every sign has a range of potential expressions, and all of the transits have a chance to bring out anything in that range. But the opposition does tend to, overstimulate you and make you take notice. All right, so everybody else who's not in the first couple of days and degrees, you're not going to have your opposition until between 2021 and 2023. The later you are in the sign, the longer it's going to take for this opposition to take place for you. So it might not even have whispers to you for years. All right. That's why I wanted to mention this, because it is very relevant, and I don't, want you panicking for nothing. And also panicking without knowing that this can be a positive thing for you. Okay. But you are going to have to get disciplined with some things that you might not have discipline with. And, the topic of hard work and discipline and consistency and being persistent is going to come up in various ways in your life. Okay, so the next thing to talk about is the movement of Saturn into a different house. And this is something that you're probably going to be hearing, and so I want to address it. People are going to be talking about Saturn moving into the 7th house for Leos. But just as I've described to you, only those of you at the very beginning of the placement are going to have this legitimately showing up in your 7th house. From the whole house perspective, there's different systems of astrology. There's Vedic astrology, there's Chinese astrology, there's every kind of astrology imaginable. Then there's Western astrology, it's one of them. Of Western astrology, there's different divisions of Western astrology. One of the divisions is whole house astrology. So in whole house readings, they're going to say for everybody, every Leo placement now has their Saturn in the 7th house. Okay? And I'm not disputing that. All of these things are true. In an infinite universe, there's room for everything to be true. And I'm very inclusive, with how I do things. I like to see how other things can also be right and not be antagonistic to everything. You know what I mean? So, but what I'm trying to say is that on one level, all Leos are going to experience what Saturn means in the 7th house. I'm going to talk about what this means, but I have to lay the groundwork first. But from the Placidus perspective, which is the astrology I do, this staggered experience is going to also be relevant. Okay, so even though themes of Saturn in the 7th may come up, they're not going to be as full on as they will be for those of you as you get later in the sign. Okay, so what does Saturn mean? In the 6th house, which is where it's still going to be for all of you this year, even for those of you in the beginning of the sign, you're still close enough to the 6th house that the storylines that have been taking place over the previous years, they're still going to be showing up for you. So we're going to talk about what Saturn means in the 6th house. We're going to talk about what Saturn means and can bring in the 7th house, and what you can do to prevent issues and to make the most of it. Okay, so Saturn brings lessons, hardships, heaviness, difficulties, obstacles, because it wants your focus. It's testing weak links for growth, expansion, and long-term stability. So your health sector has been getting affected. Your possibly pets and animals, your work routine, your lifestyle, your habits have all been an area of focus. You may have seen the positive, and I want you to look back over the last couple of years, okay? Think about this, because I want you to figure out how this has been applying for you over these past years, because those same themes are likely to be showing up for the rest of 2020. And if you understand what they are, then you know what's going on. All right, so did you get a pet that you expect to be a long-term pet? Okay, possibly. Saturn can bring long-term connections and long-term things. This is a house of pets. Did you, lock into a long-term job? Did you start a business? Did you have issues with your health? Did you know that you have to change your lifestyle and are working on that? Did you go through and get diagnostics trying to figure out what's going on with you? All of these are Saturn in the 6th house manifestations. And what Saturn wants is for you to take the time to do the work to look, for you to be persistent and consistent, for you to be relentless with your approach, and for you to get streamlined and disciplined with your routine, with clearing clutter, with your structure, with your diet, with your lifestyle, with all of these things. And even with, pets and animals. They might need more structure or more focus, or you might be having a long-term friend come in. So the way that you can head off any additional problems are to honor the principles of Saturn, which is putting the focus and the hard work and the discipline into those areas. And that's what it wants. And then what you can look forward to is the gifts. When Saturn leaves a house that it's been busting your chops in, because it does bust chops, it leaves a gift. And the gift usually comes to the tune of the degree of how much you've done the work. All right? So healing, health, major health healing, positive or permanent improvements with things involving animals. Business is doing well. Work doing really well. Like, gifts usually come. And the gifts are probably not going to come yet. You might get whispers of them, especially you in the beginning of the sign. But your gifts are going to come when Saturn gets out of that house, which is going to be staggered depending on where you are in the placements. And that's going to be somewhere between 2021 and 2023. All right, but know that the harder you work with it, the more the gifts will come, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a finite period of time that this storyline is taking place, and so you can just really work it. All right, now Saturn moving into the 7th house, hands down across the board, something I've seen happen a lot is long-term relationships of consequence are likely to come into your life. If you're looking for your long-term person, your permanent partner, Saturn moving into the 7th house increases the odds that you will have that happen. Saturn in the 7th house can build your clientele. It can bring in long-term relationships of consequence in any area of your life. An accountant that you have for the rest of your life or their life. Somebody else, a cleaning person, a car repair, somebody that you need help from, a counselor. Somebody comes in a long-term way to help you, to make your life easier. Clients, business associates, friendships, other acquaintances, people to work with on projects, anything like that. So Saturn is getting ready to increase the odds of these long-term karmic connections. Those of you in the beginning, you're more likely to see it gel, but everyone in the July born, you have an increase in odds of these permanent or very long-term relationships coming in of consequence. Now, Saturn doesn't speak to, per se, them being exactly what you want. Saturn tests what is not stable, okay? So if you're in a relationship, Saturn is going to be moving into the 7th house. Saturn is going to be testing your relationships. Now pay attention, even those of you not in the beginning of the sign, because even though this might not be relevant until 2021, 2023, that time frame, knowing this now means you can start to get a leg up on the work and the lessons now so that you can have more accomplishment and positive outcomes when it actually gets there. So it's going to test all your relationships. The ones that are not set for the long term, it may break them up. I've seen many a relationship start and many a relationship break up under a Saturn influence in the 7th house. This is across the board a common thing. I've also seen relationships go up to the next level. So maybe you have your person, then Saturn brings an engagement, Saturn brings a marriage, Saturn brings children. Saturn brings you merging other things together. So that's the type of thing Saturn brings. But all of these transits are still slaves to your inner programming. This is the most important thing to understand about astrology. That's why I take the time to teach you about this, because just what's going on in the stars isn't enough to understand how this can affect you and what you can do with it. The transits are slaves to your inner programs, and they reveal to you your inner programs in a big way. And where those programs are problems, they get revealed as problems. Where those programs are working for you, they get revealed as working out. But it shows you that you may have inner work to do in order to get that experience of the long-term relationship that you want. Okay, so the more inner work you do about healing your relationship with self, healing your relationship with spirit, healing your relationship with people in the past and your current relationships, the more work you put into your relationships, the more you'll get out of them. And if you don't get something out of them, you'll at least see that there's nothing salvageable there. And that's kind of the storyline of what's beginning. Okay, so in general, this month has some obstacles to get through, but you know what? Leo placements in general are one of the planets or one of the signs of the zodiac that tend to greet obstacles with an exuberant optimism of let's just fire right through them. So I'm not worried about you from that perspective. You might need to wait towards the end of the month to have a little more clarity about what to do with the opportunities that have come to you or other things you want to do. Your big launches, your decisions, your contracts, all your big things, feel into doing those towards the end of the month and up until around April 9th as you have that nice open window. Towards the end of the month, things will really start moving your way. So just kind of get through the speed bumps until then. Get ready for an amazing month of April. Do your inner work now so you can have even more glory then. And those are the things I want to tell you. So if you want more information than what I've just already given you, definitely sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. You get a write-up 1 month ahead of all of the sweet aspects, all of the salty aspects, what the aspects are, what you can expect from them, the dates they occur, the general, mood of the month and tips for the month. And plus, every month this year is going to have a retrograde focus with how, the dates of all of the retrograde aspects that are coming for the whole year, the shadow periods, the pre-shadow periods, and how you can best use the Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde and Mars retrograde links and other information. Okay, so that's all at anniehelpsyou.com. If you want to learn astrology for personal or professional purposes, at anniehelpsyou.com, you can see my course, Become a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course. You can also see it at my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, called lumelife.com, L-U-M-E life.com. All of these links are also in the notes underneath the video, so you can just click through them there. And in my course, I will teach you how to be an astrologer professionally, how to also make money at it, and if you're not interested in either of those things, then how to use it for your self-development in the most amazing, profound way, and to help other people, your friends and family, and all of that. So it's a crazy comprehensive course. You can't even believe it. It's mind-blowing. Okay, so you can see that at anniehelpsyou.com, lumelife.com. Also at anniehelpsyou.com, massive amount of blogs, including a 12-blog series about Venus retrograde, in case you want to get a leg up on those energies that are coming. Venus retrograde shadow period starts after April 9th, all right? So that's coming. If you want to get written horoscopes by me, often talking about different things than we focus on in the horoscopes, plus reads for each sign for each month, go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, you get my written horoscopes, you get healthy lifestyle blogs. It's a beautiful site. You should go to it just to see how pretty it is. I take a lot of time in picking out all the pictures, and it's just really something to see. And you can also see my special section, Astrology for Wellness, where I have blogs on yoga through the signs, herbal tea blends through the signs, maximizing the sun's movement through the signs, and all kinds of other fun things there. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.